So my talk's on the power of code and why you should code. And I'm Kevin Dees. So the reasons why we code sites, right? Like we aren't using the database, for example. Like we have these principles that we go on. Like we want version control. We want to be able to branch and merge and do interesting things with our sites. And this is, I'm going to be particular gearing toward your basic, like a marketing site or something you could put in, say, Drupal or WordPress. So this isn't really going to be geared more toward the application development, MVC framework kind of stuff. And then you want to use code because you want to be able to migrate things easily. It's easier to migrate files and database settings. I mean, you can do that with like migrations, but migrations are typically written in code. And then testing, of course. So all these wonderful principles that we have when we build sites. And so you have Drupal and WordPress. Those are really good systems. And they let us do a lot of really cool things. But here's where we run into problems. We forsake our loved code, our beloved code, in order to use things like CCK and views. And now instantly we've moved all of our stuff over into the database, and now all of our construction is done there. Now, those are wonderful things, advanced custom fields and custom post type UI for WordPress, similar stuff. But in the words of Yoda, in order to use those things, you're unlearning what you've already learned. You learn to use code and version control, and coding faster is better because we need to make some money. And what we end up with is structure embedded within the database and making things dependent upon the database for development. Well, if you're going to work with 16 different people on a project using WordPress or Drupal, what you end up with is, what's your setting? No, what's your setting? Why didn't you create a feature for that in Drupal? And so on and so forth. So there's going to be a lot of aggravation. And then what ends up happening a lot of times whenever you use those systems is somebody will develop something on a server and you're all just collaborating on that one server versus on your own local development, which we all like to have local. So these are problems that are solved, but they're not easily solved. Something that code would do for us. So as Optimus Prime would say, sometimes even the wisest of men and machines can be in error. We don't want to forsake version control. We don't want to forsake easier migration and testing, all for the sake of faster development, which in many cases can be worthwhile. I mean, we have to be practical about what we're doing as well, And you also have good community support with those things. So while these tools are excellent, I have nothing against them. I mean, I use them all the time. Is there a better way? Is there a way to go back to code for any of these platforms? So the question really is, what about code? Where's the power that we wanted with the code whenever we're building sites in WordPress or Drupal? We have the faster development community, great, but the version control, migration, and testing. And so what I found is a lot of these tools really don't exist for these systems specifically. And in the words of Master Splinter, as you grow older, you will learn there are many ways to do the right thing. So for now, we do use these CCK and views and different tools for WordPress as well. And we have Laravel and Cake PHP and Rails for the Ruby people who need to use code still. If you want to build an application, you can have these kind of features at application layer, but you still, like, Drupal and WordPress are really great, especially for some of these sites. And, development speed is money. So is there a way to get that coding aspect inside of any of these platforms, inside of Drupal or WordPress? And so at RoboJuice, we've developed this thing called TypeRocket. And this is my shameless plug for TypeRocket, which invariably lets you have the features that you would expect within a content management system, to be able to add any kind of field you want, structure your data, do anything with the data, store the data any way that you want, filter output completely any way that you want without the use of plugins, all integrated right into your theme, and this is going to be the demo. So thank you in advance, because I'm probably not going to come back to these slides. Now, I've chosen to do a live demo because I want to demonstrate to you just how easy this platform is to use. And things that I'm not going to cover, inside of TypeRocket, we have what I'm going to call custom controllers. And we have some automatic controllers. So what we're going to be doing is simply implementing like CCK and views, or more basically CCK or Advanced Custom Post Type UI and Advanced Custom Fields without plugins, using a framework for WordPress and for that part. So you can extend, what I'm getting at is you can extend TypeRocket to do more than the automation. You can actually create your own custom controllers. So you could literally set up TypeRocket fields to work with a Laravel app if you wanted to. Though it wouldn't be 100% object oriented, you'd get a function, you'd get a callback essentially that you could plug into. So the first thing you have to do is you're going to have to install TypeRocket. So again, I'm doing this whole thing here just so you can see how easy it is and how little bit of time it takes. Okay. So now I have that, I'm going to go to the internet. I'm going to TypeRocket, GitHub. I'm going to grab my URL here. I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to git submodule add TypeRocket. Okie doke. And we got TypeRocket now. Okay, it's over here. The first thing you do to get TypeRocket running is you just have to do a quick include. How many people here have used WordPress and would plan to use WordPress in the future? Okay, so this is definitely applicable. Okay, so I'm just going to do typerocket/init.php. Okay, so inside TypeRocket, here we go. We're including the init file. It's going to boot everything up. It's going to look for our versions, make sure we are able to run. It's going to load a config file, which I'll now set up. So I'm going to just do config, refactor that, and I'll open up my config, and I have some settings here. I can do a custom seed. This is going to be just any kind of character I want, and I can turn on debugging mode. So we'll have some debugging tools, and then it comes with a plugin system, and this can help you be more modular with TypeRocket. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this plugin over here called Matrix. Okay. Now here is our use case. With such a wonderful talk, we need just as epic a website with all of our movie quotes. Now, whenever you're building a site, you want to be able to customize all these fields. So let's do that with TypeRocket, so you can go within this page and edit all those components. And again, this is without plugins. And most of this can be done with just a few lines of code once you have TypeRocket enabled. So let's see, go to the home page. Right now I'm using quote page. And as you can see, TypeRocket's already working. I've got some fields in here with one of the plugins that it comes with. And just to give you an example of all the code it takes to do that, this would be the form. That's the form. That's pretty much all you have to do. Y'all can't see any of this, can you? All right, view. This is code. All right, so I'm going to go in and out. So that's about all the code you need. Is it going to be better if I unhighlight it? So for that specific plugin, that's about all the code you need. It's only a few lines to get your fields, and then we're just doing some buffering of output so we can store it in a variable and then put it inside those tabs you saw on the screen. Okay. So let's get to the nitty-gritty and actually do some coding.
You drop the embed in the theme.
In the theme. And TypeRocket's configured to where if you enable it in your theme, there's a hook. So you can do all of your plugins within an actual plugin within WordPress. So you don't have to do all your plugins within TypeRocket. TypeRocket just needs to be included in the theme because that's how you can keep it from being included more than once on a system. Outside of the checks it does itself. Okay, so I'm going to create.
You can't use this to roll a custom plugin with custom fields. So let's say I embedded a calendaring system that was better than everybody else and everybody wanted to use it. You'd have to have TypeRocket in your theme in order for my plugin to work if I use TypeRocket for all my fields.
Correct. Or if you really wanted to, you could just install TypeRocket, make your own plugin yourself, put it in there, and it would still work. So you could make TypeRocket a plugin if you really wanted to. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so to create a plugin, you just create, you're going to create a file. You're going to call it init.php. And you can't create a directory called that. PHP file. init.php. Okay, there we go. Good to go. Now I'm just going to grab some code here. And this code is simply grabbing a WordPress hook, and it's going to drop some data in here. And so I'm going to enter. I really hope y'all can see. Hopefully this will help. Okay, so here's a class I've created. It's hooking into, after the title editor, we're looking for a post type called page, and then we can start adding custom fields. So I'm just going to go ahead in here, and to create a form in TypeRocket, you just do tr form. And these are not your actual classes. These are just easy access functions that I've created. You can actually instance the objects yourself if you want to, and then do all the procedure stuff in there. So I can do, let's do text, and I'm going to call this quote. And just like that, I have to go and enable the plugin. Actually, let's go here. Okay, so inside my config file, I just go add this new plugin I created called Page. I'm just going to get rid of SEO there.
Live coding.
Yes, sir. Okay, I see my problem. I have a bad variable over here. Okay. There we go. So now I got my quote field. I could type some text in here, update it, and then because I'm in development mode, I can just grab that, copy it, and then our system would automatically pick up on that inside of a loop, and you could take that code and you could get basically this field within inside of a loop instantaneously. Okay, but that's not all we want to do with TypeRocket because that's pretty cheap. So what I really want to do, I'm going to open up some files here. Page. Create a new file. I'm going to create what's called a matrix. And matrices are pretty cool. So I'm going to create one called quote. I'm going to create one called profile. I'm going to create one called, well, let's just do two. That's all we need. Okay, I'm going to open up those. So this is inside the Matrix plugin. We created a folder called page, and inside of that we created two other files. Okay. And then I just need my page template, and over here I have this class called builder, and I have a switch control over here that I'll move into the builder. And this is kind of where I'm including all of my stuff. Okay. So inside of the page template, I'm including all this jazz. Is there a good way to switch files? Control tab. Okay, cool. Perfect. Whew. That's going to be rough. Okay. Page profile. Man. All right. I need to figure out how to make this text huge.
Just Command plus or what? You actually take two fingers and in the window and go like that.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. Lifesaver. All right. Sweet. Okay. All right, let's go back to our plugin here. All right, so what I can do here is I'm going to create a new class called Matrix. And inside of this, I'm going to name it the group that I had created inside of Matrix, which was page. Okay. I'm going to pass in the form object. And then I'm going to do a command called add. That's going to add my matrix to the page. Then inside of one of the matrix controls, I have to include a file to do some initializing, because we're going to call this file with Ajax. And it's going to be called tr load form.php. And then inside of here, I'm just going to grab a form object.
You have a slash instead of a dot.
Thank you. Form, and I'm going to create one called text. I'm going to call this quote. Go back to the browser, reload. I can now hit add. It tells me I need a config file. So I'm going to refactor this bad boy. Matrix comes with its own config file. It's a plugin for TypeRocket. And I can click add here, and I can get as many of these forms as I want. I can drag them, move them around, okay? I could also grab a quote, hit add, but I don't have anything for quote right now. So inside a quote, I'm going to do this. So if I hit quote, I'll get that. If I wanted to, I'm going to go to profile and have one called quote. I'm going to have one called gallery. Refresh the page. So I had a profile, got a gallery. I can select some files here from my computer. Image, I've got some files I want to add. Open those. You can toggle these on and off. Use those images, and now they're inside of here. I don't want that one. Don't want that one. Don't want that one, and I want this one to go first. Okay? Quote. Update that. Now let's say I want just a regular quote. I'll add a new one here. Just normal. Okay? So now I've got these blocks. I can contract them. I can move them around. And so essentially I've just created a page builder. And that's just with a few lines of code. And then I can go to the page template, and instead of all this stuff, I'm just going to call page builder, or builder here. And then I'm going to go to my builder section, and I need to pass in a matrix. So I'm going to go back to page, and then I need to do while have posts. Post. That'll get things going for WordPress. Wow. Then all I have to do is copy this matrix piece right here, pump it in there, and then our builder is just going to go and it's going to say, what type are you? Are you a profile, a quote, posts? So if it's a quote, it's going to come down here to quote, and then I'm just going to tell it to print out that information. Echo data, and it's going to be named whatever I named it, which in this case was quote. And just like that, I can have a matrix field that's going to be represented on the page. So there we go. We got right up there. We got the word normal. Now I just want to program this other one. So I'm just going to grab a profile here, and we have a gallery. So all I really need to do for the gallery is do PHP for each. And I'm just going to say data, gallery. And you would see all these things if you did like a debug within it. You'd be able to figure out where these elements lie inside the system. Let's do value. That. Echo. WP. Get attachment image. And then V is going to be our ID. And that would give me the full gallery. And then I could go in here and do the same as I had done before. Echo data quote. Okay, so I've got quote in here and these three images, and then normal. Update that, dispute the page. Normal, we got quote over here, and now I have these three dynamic images. Okay, and I can go over here, edit the page. Let's say I want to add a new field to take care of this. Can you all see? You probably can't. Okay. So I did a loop against some attachments, then I just grabbed it and echoed it onto the page, and now I want to take this list and do a quick for each again and build a list. And TypeRocket comes with a number of fields. I'll just call this one list. And then I'm going to say, let's do li y, and then I'm just going to do dash v here. And this is as simple as going into our profile again and just calling this one items. Name it list. Go back. I can insert some items here. 1, 2. I can rearrange them. I can remove them. Update that. View the page. 1, 2. So just as simply with TypeRocket, we can build a fully custom page, and I can add as many of these components just to give you some fun here. let's just add, let's not add those. Let's do some quotes. I can customize the background image if I wanted to. I can move this thing up here. Okay, 1, 2, pretty cool, right? Yeah, good to go. And thank you.